Hey guys, good day everyone. So before I start the session, welcome to Cloud DevOps Batch 55. So today is the session 3 of our Cloud DevOps Batch 55. So I would like to give a quick recap on what's been covered in the previous session. In order to learn Linux, we understand the importance of Linux and we want to learn Linux. And in order to learn the Linux, we want to have a server and we decided to create a server on the top of AWS Cloud so that we can also learn the cloud down the line. So we created a server and we tried to connect to it. Okay, but while trying to connect, we got some challenges. We'll try to sort that one more time. Also, yesterday we have seen the importance of availability, how cost and availability are directly proportional to each other. In order to create infrastructure which is highly available is 100% dependent on your business requirement. And even in our training, we are going to design the infrastructure keeping the availability in mind. Okay, so we have seen what is a availability zone, what is a region using the AWS global infrastructure map. Okay, and after the session yesterday, when I was taking the questionnaire, couple of people have raised a very interesting question. I want to address that question again at the end of the training. I want someone in the session to raise that point. Okay, for example, if you come here and see, in Hyderabad, we have only availability zones and 3. Okay. And if you go to Mumbai, we have availability zones and local zones as well. What is this local zone? Right. Let's go here. You go here or if you go to Cape Town, in Cape Town also, we have just availability zones, but we don't have local zones. What is this local zone? And if you go to North Virginia, okay, along with the local zone, you also see another important thing called as wavelength zone. What is this wavelength zone? These two are very important, not important. These two are very nice and interesting concepts, which I would like to demonstrate at the end of the training. Okay, so these two are the important points that I think someone has asked me. I really appreciate them. However, I would like to connect that, but in case if I forget, I want someone to volunteer me to cover this. What is a local zone or what is a wavelength zone and when you use it and why all the regions don't have these options. We'll see that at the end of the training. So before that, I also want to add a couple more points. So yesterday we have seen what is an AMI, uh, how in cloud, if you want to create a server, you're getting a server with an operating system installed in less than 1 minute. How that magic is happening behind the hoods is something we have demonstrated. Also, we have seen what is authentication and how can you authenticate to a Windows-based machine. If you want to connect to a Windows-based machine, you need to have a client-based software called as RDP. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol, which you need to use to connect to a Windows-based machine. And this is a software which will be available on the Windows-based machines by default. Okay. Now, how about Linux machine? In Linux also, you use the similar kind of client, but not RDP. Instead, you use a client called as SSH. SSH is a Linux client where using that, we are going to connect to the server. So in that, if you are using a Windows-based machine, Putty is one of the famous software which you can use as an SSH client where you can connect to the server. Here, connecting to the server in Linux is referred as, okay, SSH to the server. Okay, when people say, hey, can you please SSH to the server? That means they're asking you to connect to a Linux-based server. If someone says that, hey, RDP to that server, that means they're asking you to connect to a Windows-based server. Keep these points in mind. Okay, and in Windows, we have username and password-based authentication. That means if you want to do something or if you want to connect to the server, you need to enter the username and password. Fine. In Windows, that's the thing. But in Linux, it's also the same way. But in Linux, it also offers one more way of authentication, which is called as passwordless authentication. This is supports almost for all the Linux-based machines, okay, or all the Linux-based appliances. Now, what is this passwordless authentication? Rather than me supplying the password, I'm going to supply a big file with 2048 characters. Okay, this is one way of authentication, but in corporate, you don't see this passwordless authentication very much often. Instead, you use password-based authentication. So as a part of the security standards, as a part of the latest organization and security standards, I would like to stick to connecting to the servers using username and password. But there is a blocker here. Amazon don't allow you or don't supply AMIs by default by allowing you to connect using a username and password. But for the in organizations, each and every organization will have their own AMI that works with the own set of username and password. So I would like to start that at the end of the training, but I would like to resume one more time. What is this passwordless authentication? I would like to reiterate it one more time. Passwordless authentication works using a concept called as SSH key pair. SSH key pair. If you want to connect to a server using passwordless authentication, you need to generate a key pair. When I say key pair, I'm referring to two files. One is a public key file and another is a private key file. We also seen a nice example with a lock and key. If you want to open this lock, you need to have this appropriate key, which means if you have taken another key and if you attempt to open this lock, that lock will never ever open. Okay. Similarly, in order for the key pairs to work, you need to have two key files. One is public key, which is like a log, which is a public piece, which is available or which we are going to use to place on the top of the servers. And another file is private key, which will be placed on the top of your computer. And this is very much important. And it is a sensitive information which is not supposed to be shared with anyone else. Okay. Now, yesterday I have created a server and I tried to connect to the server, and let me try to show you one more time. Okay. So in order to do that, I need to connect to my AWS account. Let me connect to my AWS account, sign into the console, and this is my account. Okay. I think I don't remember the password. Done. Now I'm gonna enter the MFA code, multi-factor authentication code. So let me try to enter the authentication code. I'm gonna enter the authentication code. Where is my mobile? Just a second. So I'm entering the authentication code. So this is purely optional. So if you don't want your account to be compromised, you can add this. However, I'm gonna show this as well. Okay. Okay, now you can, I would like to create server one more time. So EC2 is a service which helps you in creating a server. In Amazon, each and everything is a service. Whatever you want, you need to adopt or you need to consume the appropriate service. In my case, I want to create a server. Since I want to create a server, I want to consume or I want to use a service called as EC2. EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Compute. Now, what I'm going to do is I would like to show you one more time how to create a server. Okay, let me try to show you that. First, I would like to show you for Windows, in Windows, how it works. Okay, and then if you're a Mac user, how to do that, that also I would like to show you. Okay, so I would like to bear with me. So I would like to launch an instance. Click on this. And I would like to launch an instance. And I would like to say my lab server. My lab server, Linux 1. Now I would like to browse the AMI. AMI is a disk which will have an operating system that is pre-installed. Now I would like to come here, and AWS Marketplace is a place where different software providers or different communities, if they want to sell their software in the form of an AMI, they can publish it. And you can see 8,323 AMIs are available in the marketplace. And in the community is like an open source. Anyone can publish and it is free. Now I want to use a community AMI and I would like to search for CentOS 7. Okay, now I would like to select one of the AMI. I really don't care which AMI I use. All I care is whether it is a CentOS or not. Now I'm gonna select this. Now very soon we are going to use our own AMI. Now scroll down all the way down. And here you have an option called as T instance type. Instance type is nothing but how many number of CPUs and how many number of memory that you want is combined together as a part of the best combination. In order to get best performance to any computer, there is a combination which is referred as a best combination. It doesn't mean if you're having 32 GB of RAM and one processor, you might not get a better performance. And the inverse of it is also the same. If you're having i7 octa-core processor and if you're having just 2 GB of RAM, it is not considered as an effective computing combination. In order to get the better capacity combination, better performance, you need to have some proportion, like how many CPUs versus how much amount of memory. That combination, okay, is referred as a best combination. Lot of such best combinations are all supplied by Amazon in the form of instance type, which means as a part of your business requirement, for example, if you want this much CPU and this much memory, you need to come here and you need to look for the particular instance type. And each and every instance combination, CPU and memory combination, will have a name like T3.x2 large, C5 large, okay, and C5 2x large. Like that, we have those things. And among all, Amazon offers majority of the services in AWS for free, but not unconditionally. They'll put condition like if you want to use a server for free as a part of the free tier, you can use T2.micro only. T2 micro means second generation hardware. This T2 series stands for second generation hardware. Amazon has introduced the second generation of hardware in 2014 or 15. Now you can also see T3. So whenever you see T3, they're referring the latest hardware, third generation hardware. We discussed, right? For every 8 years or 9 years in the data center, you need to refresh your hardware. So T3 Micro is a brand new hardware. Okay, but I would like to stick to T2 Micro because only T2 Micro is a part of the free tier eligible. So I would like to click T2.micro, which is a part of the free tier. Now I would like to show you how to create a key pair. I assume that we don't have the key pair and I'm downloading it. Now I want to create a key pair. Now the public key will be there on your particular cloud and the private key will be downloaded to your computer. Now I'm gonna create a key pair. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select, okay, batch 55, okay, 0 is 003. Today is session 3. I'm gonna name it as session 3. And I want to, whether you want this to be downloaded as a PEM format or in a PPK format. PEM stands for, okay, PEM is a open SSH format, which means whenever you're using things like Excel, which is a tool for SSH connectivity, or if you're using MacBook, okay, then you're supposed to select PEM. In my case, I don't want to go with PEM. First, I would like to show you keeping the Windows users in mind. PPK. PPK stands for Putty Private Key. If you're using Windows and if you're using Putty on the top of your computer, this is what you're supposed to download. PPK. PPK stands for Putty Private Key. Click on it. Now, the B53003 file is downloaded. Now, all you need to do is scroll down and you can also mention how much amount of storage you want. If you want 12 gigs of storage, you can mention it. But as a part of the free tier, Amazon offers you 30 GB of storage. Okay, we'll talk about the storage in the upcoming sessions, but to your understanding, you can use a maximum of 30 GB of storage as a part of the servers. Okay. All right, guys. Perfect. Let me try to do that. I could see a couple of questions. All right. So I have downloaded the key. Now what's next? Now I want to launch the instance and I would like to connect to the instance. Let's see that.
Manoj, I have a question. So when you say that the volumes are 1 into 12, so one volume consists of 8 GB. So you mean to say 12 8 GB disks will be added to the...
No. It's just a disk. 1 into 8, it said, I just said 1 into 12. That means I'll get one 12 GB disk. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. So now the state is pending. The instance state is pending. What do you mean by instance pending state? Which means in the Amazon's infrastructure, okay, so your resource is not yet allocated. That means, so as a part of the free tier, yesterday we discussed, it took 40 to 50 seconds of time. If you're creating a server, apart from free tier, things will be coming up on a flash. Now, if you come here, the system came up to the running state. Now, do you really think if the system comes to the running state, you can connect? No. Whenever you feel that you are not able to connect to the server, or whenever the state of the server is not in the running state, or whenever someone complains, hey, I'm not able to access to the server, all you need to do is first you should come here and check the status checks. And here you can see two status checks: system status checks and instance status checks. System status checks is like hardware checks, which means the underlying host where your server is created, what is the status of it, whether it has any issues or not. It is running. Now, sometimes this will be in running state and it won't be in the running state. Instance status check is like the software checks or your virtual machine checks. If both of them are operational, then only you can connect to the server. Now, yesterday, a couple of people reported in the latest version of Ansible, latest version of Putty that I have told you to install is not showing the option that I have used yesterday. Now, I would like to demonstrate that one more. Come here, copy this. I would like to open Putty. I also uninstalled and installed latest version of Putty. Copy this. Now you need to mention the IP address of it. That's it. You don't have to do anything. Now in the left pane, you have an option called as SSH here. So all you need to do is click on this plus symbol. Now let's try to click the plus symbol. Okay, the moment you click the plus symbol, you have another option called as auth. Click on the auth. Now again, for the left side of the auth, you have plus. Now click on the plus, you have credentials option. Now you need to browse it. Click on browse and you have BATCH55 PPK file. Click on it. Open. Now it asks you, hey, you're trying to connect to the server for the very first time. Do you want to connect once or you want to accept? This is like, okay, whenever you are connecting to any of the Linux machine from any of the machine, there is something called as a footprint, which means your machine is going to register, I am trying to connect to it for the first time. And second time, when you try to connect to it, it don't ask you, do you want to connect or not? Technically, it is just a warning. You are trying to connect to something which you have not connected in the past. Are you sure that you want to connect to or not? It is just a warning to us, just to ensure we are not connecting to the bad machine. I say accept. Now I need to enter the username. CentOS is a username, which is a default user account on CentOS based machines. Okay, enter. Now I'll be connected to it. Now I have connected to a server. Okay, fine. Now uptime is a command which tells you on Linux since when the machine is up. My machine is up from last 3 minutes. Okay, fine. Now, Manu, I'm using MacBooks. How can I do that? I don't have the putty option. You do not have to install anything. Okay, Mac users or Linux users, you don't have to install anything. And you right click your computer, okay, you will be having a terminal. Okay, so just like if you right click your computer and right click your mouse on the top of your desktop, you see an option called as terminal, which will open like this. I mean, which it won't look like this, but a terminal where you can enter the commands. Windows users, if you want to have a default terminal on your computer, if you're using Windows 11 or above, you will be having a default terminal on your Windows computer. I'm using Windows 7. Now, Windows from Windows 11 is no longer pure Windows. Okay, in the big tug of war between Windows and Linux, okay, Windows is Linux is ultimately a winner. So when Satya Nadella, Windows loves Linux. When Satya Nadella take over Microsoft, in his very first meeting, he said that we are not enemies to the community of Linux. So they knew that in this big ecosystem, Linux is an ultimate winner. In order to be in the business and in order to gain more customer base as a part of their cloud business, they said that we want to adopt Linux, and they came up with a statement called as Microsoft loves Linux. Earlier, there used to be a very big competition between them. Now they openly said that we love Linux. Microsoft loves Linux, which also means from Windows 11, they have developed Windows 11, keeping the Linux kernel in mind. It's no longer a complete Windows, but it is Windows with a Linux kernel. And that's the reason Windows 11 people will have a terminal, a default terminal on their computer, just like your MacBook users. Okay, so if you want to have a default terminal for Windows 10 guys, you can install something called as git bash. Okay, so this is one software that I want every one of you to install if you are a Windows guy. Okay, git bash for Windows. This is just to have a local terminal, just like how your Windows guys, Windows 11 guys, and your MacBook guys and your Linux guys will have a default Linux terminal, right? Similarly, if you also want to have a local terminal, you can download Git for Windows. This will give you some nice terminal. Okay, all you need to do is just, no, not Git for Windows, Git bash. Okay, so come here, Git bash, click on this. Now you want to download this Git bash for Windows. Click on this. Now it's going to be downloaded. Now please ensure you click on the Windows 64-bit if yours is a new computer, and if yours is an old Windows computer, please prefer going with 32-bit. So it is a 58 MB software, and once it is downloaded, just try to install them. And once it is installed on your computer, just type on Windows and type Git. You will have something called as Git CMD and Git Bash and Git GUI. I want you guys to select Git Bash because we prefer learning a lot more commands. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Okay, this is how it looks like. Even Mac users, when you right click your desktop, you see a option called as terminal. If you click this, you will get a terminal like this. Now, if you don't have putty, how can I connect? Using keys. If you don't have putty, if you're using a Linux or if you're using a MacBook, how can you connect? Let me show you one more time. So you need to have something called as a PEM key, okay, not putty key. So let me try to launch one more instance. Or you can also convert the putty key to PEM key. But yeah, I don't want to confuse you guys. So Linux lab server 002. Okay, so I want to select one more. I'm just showing it one more time. So I'll be this time quick because we are doing it for the third time. So I'm going to say CentOS 7. Scroll down. Yeah, I would like to launch a server. Anything is fine because I no longer want any one of you to use this. Okay, this one I want to, I'm just keeping the Mac and Linux users in mind. Okay, so yesterday whosoever has reported that they're having a challenge with the putty that I have used, I have shown you on the latest version. So you should be able to give it a try. Now I'll come here and I'll say I would like to create a new key pair, assuming I'm a Mac guy. Okay, now here all I need to say is batch 55 PEM. This is 003 session, so I just want to name it. Now, do not choose PPK, choose PEM. That's it. Now you'll have a PEM key downloaded on the top of your downloads. Okay, even in your MacBook, if you download something, it will be coming up by default on the top of your downloads. Now scroll down, just say launch the instance. Now your instance will be coming up. Let it come up. Let it come up. Now your server is up. Let's wait for it. Okay, now if you see the status is pending state, which also means the resources are not yet allocated. Let's wait for the resource to get allocated. So it's still in the pending state. Let's wait for it. It's still in the pending state. It's still in the pending state. Let's run it one more time. Click on that. The resources were not yet allocated. I don't know why. Let me terminate this server. I don't want the other server anymore. Today we'll talk more about the billing and how you raise a request with Amazon. These are the things that I'm going to talk much. So let's wait for it. Now this came up to the running state. And if you come here and check, the status are still initializing, which means the state checks are not yet qualified. Now you come here and check. Let's check one more time, and both of them are in the initializing phase. We can also try connecting. Sometimes you can also connect. Now all I need to do is, if you are trying to connect from a MacBook terminal or from your Linux machine, open your terminal. Windows guys, open your Git bash. You can say SSH. You need to mention, okay, SSH is a command, okay, which you are telling to connect to a Linux machine. Now I'll ask you one question. If I ask you what is your Gmail address, what you will tell? I'll say, I am a trainer @gmail.com, right? Anyone knows what is this? Anyone knows? Anyone? This is very interesting point. Anyone knew this? I want to show you the adoption of Linux in the community. Let me show you that. Anyone would like to answer that? What
Username,
exactly does this mean? In this, what is I am trainer? And what
username,
is @ and what is this gmail.com? Anyone?
username, and the domain.
Okay, and the @ anyone? That is right. Username is right. All right, let me tell you this. This I am trainer, whenever you're trying to connect to any of the Linux based machine, this is how you are going to tell who you are by username. This is the username. Okay, this is technically your Gmail address. Your email address is also a Linux based convention. Okay, now gmail.com is a server. You can also mention the IP address. This is the server that you wish to connect. Okay, so SSH space, okay, whenever you hit the command SSH space CentOS @IP address, which means you are connecting to a server whose IP address is this using the username CentOS. SSH is a command where you're telling to SSH to the server. Okay, this is the convention. Even your Gmails, all these things follow majorly Linux-based conventions. Technically, Gmail is also on the top of some Linux-based machine. That's what I would like to convey here. Now, coming back to the story, I want to connect to the server. All you need to do is SSH space. You need to mention where is your private key file. You need to mention I, put a Tyndall, okay, and followed by the downloads, okay, wherever the file is there. Now, your file is, okay, batch55003.ppk, right? Now, not ppk, it's a PEM. _pem, whatever the file that you have downloaded, you need to mention. Okay, so you are telling the command that I want to SSH to the server whose IP address is this using the PEM key. Okay, this is how you are supposed to connect whenever you are connecting to any of the Linux based machine using the keys. Okay, using the keys. Now let me connect here and try to use it. Now you will be connected to it. Okay, now it's asking you, hey, you're trying to connect to this machine for the very first time. Are you sure that you want to connect? I'll say, yes, I wish to connect. Now you'll be connected to the server. Okay, uptime. This is using PEM key. Okay, whenever you're using putty, you can use putty, or people who are comfortable with Git bash, or people who are using MacBook, they can use this concept. Now, I could see a few of the hands raised. I'll take a few more minutes and then I would like to answer all of your questions. Now, that's how things work. Okay. Now I know how I created a server. Now I know passwordless authentication. Now I know keys-based authentication. Now I don't want any of you guys to use this anymore. Instead, I want to give you an AMI which works with username and password. Okay, so going forward, I want every one of you to use an AMI. So for example, you go here. Okay, I think I have supplied this with you guys. So going forward, I want every one of you to start using an AMI whose name is CentOS 7 Linux Learning AMI. This is the AMI which works with username and password. I want every one of you to start adopting this this machine, okay, which works with username and password. This is the AMI which is published by us. This also I would like to show you after some time, but this should be the last and this should be the first and last time we create servers using keys. Instead, we go with the principles as per the best security standards in the organization. As per the best security standards in the organization, it is always recommended to go with a username and password. And that's the reason in lab, we are going to use this AMI extensively. Okay, now, all right. So I would like to creating the server too many times is a boring job. So I would like to talk something else and I would like to demonstrate it one more time. Now, Manoj, how about the billing? How can I reach to customer care or how can I reach to technical support team? Now, sometimes you will be having challenges in your company, like, okay, you want something. How can I reach to Amazon technical support? AWS technical support. So what type of support you want? What about support you want? For example, there are two modes of supports. One is account related issues. Okay, so as a part of the free tier plan, okay, you can reach out to AWS support for technical for account and billing related, only for the free tier. Okay, free tier. Now, if you want to reach out to technical related questions, like I have created a server, but it has abnormally terminated. I don't know the reason. Or I have created a server, the performance of the server is not up to the mark. How can I reach to customer care? This falls under the category of technical support. Now, this technical support is free only for, okay, only for developer plan and enterprise plan. Okay, in your case, I am there to help you out. Okay, so you don't have to buy this technical support plan, but I'm going to show you how to raise a ticket with Amazon. Okay, whenever, see, majority of the times, okay, you guys end up getting more bill like 400, 500 or 1000. So whenever as a part of the training, as a part of this AWS learning, when you end up paying more bill, okay, you can reach to Amazon. Okay, so in training, here would be the reasons you might reach up in training. You might have to reach AWS for below reasons. Okay, so since our training happens on the top of a big project, okay, so sometimes you might get bill which you are not happy or which you want to request Amazon. Would it be any chance of waiver or any discount? Okay, for billing related issues, you would end up reaching them. Okay, and second thing, there is something called as a quota. What is quota? Let's start from here. So quota is a terminology which helps you, which ensures to put some upper limit on the top of your account. Okay, so for example, if the default, okay, when you create an account, when you create a free tier, okay, if they put quota, like, okay, so the upper limit of free tier servers, number of servers is 10, you cannot create servers more than 10, because in this account, you can create a maximum of 10 servers. But in our project, we might end up consuming 15 to 20 servers, that much big project we are going to do. Okay, including the high availability, 15 to 25 servers we are going to consume. Now, at that time, we cannot say that I don't have a quota, I don't practice. Now, what you need to do is we are going to reach out to Amazon and request them to increase the quota. Okay, quota is a maximum number of resources on a particular service that you can use. Even in your organizations, they'll also have some quotas that in this account, I should not have more than 100 blocks of storage. I should not have more than 200 gigs of 200 servers. This is to ensure even if your account is compromised, they should not bombard your account with unwanted billing. Or if you want, if you know that in this account, I'm not going to use more than 50 servers, you can put a maximum quota or a quota as 50 servers so that you don't have to worry about your billing, or you can put restrictions on your accounts. So usually in organizations, for developers, they'll have one AWS account. For testers, they'll have one AWS account. For production, you'll have one AWS account. And free production, you'll have one AWS account. Usually, we can also enforce some quotas telling that on the developer, I don't want more than 500 servers. On production, I can have a maximum of 2000 servers. This way, you can set some quotas. Now, coming back to the story, how can you reach to the AWS? Let me show you that. If you sign in, on the top right corner, you have a question mark here. The moment you click the question mark, you can click the support center. Click on this. Now you can click the support center. Now you have a couple of things. In your case, you might not have technical option because mine is a paid account. No, this is no longer a okay. In for few of the people, you might also see technical queries. Okay. Now I want to show you how to reach regarding billing related thing or account related thing. I would like to create a case with AWS. Click on this. Now, is this related? Is this issue? Is this the case that you're trying to relate? Is this related to account and billing adjustment, or is it something related to technical? Now I am here to create, okay. Now if you see this, now technical account is now the other account, 6am account has technical support. Now if you see this, the moment I click, I'm looking here, I'm here to raise a technical ticket. Now what I say, technical support is not available under the basic support plan. And if you remember, we have while creating the AWS account, you have seen 3 options, right? Now come here. Okay, you have 3 plans: basic plan and developer plan and support plan and enterprise plan. If you select second or third, you'll get technical support as well, but we don't need, we'll go with the basic free plan. Okay. Okay. All right. Now I'll come here. I would like to create a case that is related to account and billing. Come here. Now, for which service or for what category you want to raise a ticket? Now I want to raise this ticket that is something related to billing or as a part of the free tier or anything as per your choice. Now I want to create something that is related to account. Now category you can mention. You can mention for what you are here to raise. You can mention what is this related to compliance or is it related to security or whatever it may be. Now I'm here to mention, okay, now I want to mention something related to billing. Now I'll come here and I'll say this is something related to payment, for example, payment, or I want to dispute a charge, or I want to talk something related to invoices and reports. Okay, now is this a general question? Okay, come here. Now next steps. Now you can mention briefly. Okay, so request to look into my billing where I got more bill. Okay, Amazon is known for one of the best support guys. Okay, see, Amazon is known for one of the best customer support experience. And if you mention that, okay, I am a new beginner, I'm a beginner, I'm the process of learning Linux, or I'm the process of learning AWS, I'm exploring AWS. And as a part of learning, knowingly or unknowingly, I have ended up consuming some resources that has costed me 500, 600. If you could waive that off, that will be really helpful. If you mention that, they look into the possibility, and 99% of the times they'll give you waiver if it is a genuine request. Okay, billing where I got more bill in the current cycle, current billing cycle. Okay, now you can mention, hey hi team, I am a new beginner in AWS and in the process of learning AWS, and 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 unintentionally I got more bill in the current one. Can you please help me with the possible waiver? Okay, now click on this and just just mention your details and next solve. So how you want Amazon to solve this problem? Okay, so you want this problem to be solved by email or text-based support or a chat-based support. I prefer going with, okay, web. So we'll get where we get a response in less than 24 hours. Okay, you'll get an email. You'll get a update here itself in the case that your issue has been reported, and this is what it is. We noticed that this is the billing. You'll get okay. In my case, I have raised a lot of such cases regarding the billing or unintended charges. Now, once it is solved, okay, right now the status is unassigned. That means your ticket case has been raised, but from the Amazon front, no one has assigned it yet, but someone will assign it and they are going to work on that and they're going to resolve it. Okay, this is how you can approach AWS, and this is how you are going to raise technical support queries in your organization as well, or when you got an opportunity, when you're not able to solve something, or when you want to implement something where you don't find some proper resources, or when you feel that something is not working as per the documentation, or in your organization or in your infrastructure, if something is not working as intended, then if you want to reach out to Amazon, you don't have to dial in. Come here and you can create a case. And if you're landing into the profiles like cloud and DevOps, obviously that's one of the first class profile in the organization. Obviously, you'll have some good level of access where you'll have a privilege to create a case as well. Okay, this is how you can raise a account related queries or technical related queries in AWS console whenever you want to reach Amazon cloud. Okay, now I'm very much interested about talking billing. But billing is a very important topic. Okay, this is something when you join any organization, obviously everyone looks for recognition, right? Everyone wants to be recognized, right, in the organization. So whenever someone joins any organization, the easiest way to be recognized in the company or in the project where you're working on is try to identify the business, what they're doing, where they're investing more. I mean, with respect to the infrastructure, billing and all on the cloud. Just try to question yourself why this much amount is being charged, and try to think in such a way where you can contribute something in the direction of their billing. Okay. If you suggest something that is related to billing or something, your thoughts that shows that you're very much interested to reduce billing and save some money to the company, your efforts will always be recognized. Now, how will I come to know how much I was charged? You mentioned that it's a pay as you go. How do I come to know how much I was billed? And how do I come to know if someone comes to me and asks me, I want a server with 8 CPUs and X GB of RAM and 8 CPUs and 32 GB of RAM with 100 GB disk and Linux as OS. Now, as soon as you get the requirement, we don't straight away go and provision the server. No, you do not do that. You should not do that. Now you need to ask them, may know what is the business use case and why you want a server and what is the expected application that you are planning to run on this server. And do you have an approval for it? If you have an approval, can you please share the approval of it? And if you're working in a cloud and DevOps team, obviously you'll also have a manager who is a cloud manager or the infrastructure manager. You also need to get his approval. Another thing you also need to ask, what is your expected timeline of this server? Which means, is this a testing project? Is this the test server? Or is this the POC, proof of concept, as a part of the research you're doing this? Or if you want to run a live application or a real application, how long you're planning to run? If it is a POC, how long you are planning to run? Do you have an approval for that? Once they share the approval from their business or from their manager, you need to submit this request to your manager. He need to approve it. That is how good business and good companies work. Okay, as soon as you get a requirement, never ever you provision straight away. Okay, you need to understand what is the requirement, do you have an approval or not, and you also need to pass it to your manager, and then you need to mention, you should know how much it's going to cost. As I said, it's a pay as you go, which means each and everything will have a bill. You need to tell them, if you want to use a server with 8 CPUs and 32 gig of RAM, where you're planning to use it, where you're planning to run it for 30 days, this is the billing that you're expected to have. Are you okay with this or not? every time you need to talk to them in the context of billing. Every time it starts with the context of billing. If it is just a silly application and if it's costing $1,000 per month, definitely it's not worth of doing it, right? Now, how do I come to know what is the billing of it? Okay, so before I proceed further, I would like to take up a couple of questions from the people who has raised your hands. Guys, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Rahul. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Rahul.
Yeah, hi. So, first of all, what is disk? Is it the 100 disk? What do you mean by 100 disk?
Okay, 100 GB disk is the right. Okay.
Oh, 100 GB disk. Okay. Okay.
Usually disk is referred as
Oh,
100
yeah.
GB, 200 GB, right? Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
SSD, yeah. So on the dashboard, if we can just go to the dashboard, so there it says instances, right? By default, I in this session we use one instance, right? So is it the instances of that? So if we click on 2 or 3, like it'll create 3 instances of
Yes.
that server. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So one instance is like the main instance, and the others are the
Simple. You're creating 3 instances with the similar properties. That's it.
Oh, okay.
There is no main instance, secondary instance, and all. Amazon is giving you a benefit. How many servers with a similar configuration you want? If you say 3, it's going to create 3 servers with a similar configuration. Okay.
Yeah. And the last question. So I see yesterday I was trying to connect to that putty using what you said with the browser option. I was not getting it. So I saw it now that it's through the different option. So before on yesterday when I was connecting, so I was not able to connect. So I was going through different options and I came to the dashboard and see that there is a connect button there. I click
we'll
on
see that. Rahul, we'll see that later.
Not there. The connect button there. Not there. Down on the refresh.
That's what I get it. What you're
on the
talking.
refresh. Yeah,
this one, right? Connect to the server. Click on it.
No, not that. On the dashboard on top of that. Yeah, there's a connect, right?
Yeah. There is a concept called as sessions manager. Using that, you can directly connect to the server. You don't need Excel, putty, or anything. From the browser itself, you can connect. Okay.
So on the instant state, just step left or the instance state there.
Okay, Rahul, let's go step by step. Hold on. Your first question is, what is this connect option, right? This connect option is something where you can connect to your Linux server directly from your browser. Okay. But this will work only. There is a concept in AWS called as sessions manager. Okay. Sessions using the sessions manager, which we didn't cover. If you use that, you can directly connect. You don't need putty, you don't need Excel. Directly from the browser, you can connect. But I don't want to teach in the early because I want the native concept should be inherited first. But we'll also see that.
Okay. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Shanmugam, go ahead.
Yeah, please. So can we have both PPK and PEM files for one instance?
Yeah, you can. It is just a format. You can convert your PEM key to PPK or PPK to PEM. Just type.
We cannot get it directly from that instance while we are creating the key pair.
You cannot get both together. You can download one. You can generate the other one.
For
if you're having a
PEM
key,
some other tools.
Yeah, the same T. There is, if you install putty, you have something called as puttygen. You can load your PEM key and ask it to generate putty key. PEM. That can also be done. Okay. I'm going to supply PEM key. Okay. So I think I deleted that. Okay. You can supply the PEM key and ask it to generate it. So it's going to generate you the PPK for that PEM key. You can convert.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
go ahead. Karthik, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Manoj Karthik here. So this putty, I just tried installing this putty yesterday. I just followed the same procedure, the new version of putty, but I was not able to connect to the Linux machine.
Try doing that one more time. Try doing that one more time and just connect with me using the screenshot of your error so that I can help you more.
Sure.
You have my contact, right? Just reach me directly.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can help you. A lot of people reached me yesterday. Okay. So yeah. Anything else, anyone? Yeah, Rahul, did I answer your question? I think you are asking one more thing.
No. You're good. You're good. I it covered. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
But
thank you.
yeah. I just want to ensure I break the questions and I answer everything, just to ensure I don't miss.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, Manoj.
Yeah, Pratik. Hi.
If we have connect option on dashboard, why should we connect through Putty or Excel? Why can't we connect directly from?
There are a lot of things where you'll have on the top of your computer. Okay. So things will be easy if you connect from local, because you'll have your lot of things locally, right? That's a good question. But if you want things to be locally connected, you can use Putty. Or if you just want to connect, just click on this button, you'll get it. Simple. Okay.
Thank you.
That's a good question. All right. So yeah, let's try to proceed. Now I'm very much interested in talking about billing. This account has almost $300, $400 that I got a bill because I was doing some testing. I was freelancing for one of the project. So and I have done a lot of testing. I would like to show you the billings that are involved, so that in your project also, if you want to see how billing works, how receipts are going to be generated, how can you explore that, so that this gives you some better idea. Now what I want to do is, in the same console itself, if you go to the top right corner, you have something called as billing dashboard. Okay. Billing dashboard. Now, sorry, not this, billing dashboard. Click on this. Now a billing dashboard will be open. Every month and every end of the month, you'll get an invoice generated. Okay. And if you don't pay this invoice in a timely manner, Amazon is going to suspend your account. So please ensure you pay the bill. Okay. In my case, let me go to the in the left pane, you have a lot of options. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on payments, or even I'm overdue. Let me go to billing, bills, click on the bills. Now I would like to show you guys a bill of May. Okay, May end. Click on this. Now, if you see this, I got $107 bill, which is almost 9,000 rupees, Indian rupees. Now, if you ask me, hey Manu, did you paid it? Yes, I have paid, because I was doing some freelancing. As a part of it, I was doing some rigorous testing, and that's the reason I got it. In your case, you won't get it. All you get it is less than 3 or 4. Okay, don't worry about it. But all I want to show you is, if I show things at a bigger scale, so that you can see at what point things are consuming, all these things will be giving you some better idea. Even in the organizations, they pay 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, even 100,000, 200,000 per month. Okay, so yeah, so now I want to see what made this $107 of billing. Scroll down. If you click that, okay, now I want to know which services I have consumed and which one has costed me a lot and which region I have adopted. Okay, now if you see this, out of this $107, I consumed $65, that is 65%, $65 out of 107 is related to cloud compute, because I have created a lot of big servers that has costed me more. Okay, now click on this. Now it shows you, I have servers in North Virginia, and it shows 68.4, 64.81, and rest of the $0.5, I also created a server in Oregon for establishing some connectivity. And that's the reason I got some billing. Again, if you want to drill down, you can also click the same here. It shows you. Okay, so don't worry about the names. All I want to show you is detailed attention to detail that these guys will mention. So there is something called as NAT gateway, which is a networking component, which I have used for okay, as a data transfer 16.245. I got $0.73 bill. Okay, now I also used Amazon T3.medium, which has costed me $0.416 per hour. Okay, it's a T3 medium, which has costed me $1.90. Now I also have used a very big instance T3.large for some amount of hours, 189 hours I have used. See this 189 hours T3.large, it costed me 15.79. Now, if you scroll down again, there is a concept called a spot instance. As I said yesterday, if you want to get 95 to 98% of the discount in Amazon, majority of the companies will look for discounts through something called as spot instances. Spot instance is like a gold mine, which helps you in saving your bill a lot, which is something I'm going to talk extensively tomorrow in the session. Okay, now, so if you see this EBS is nothing but elastic block storage. The underlying disk which is attached to your machine is referred as elastic block storage. As I said, as a part of the free tier, you can use a maximum of 30 GB storage. If you go beyond that, Amazon is going to charge you. Now I have used a lot of such storage, and that's the reason I got 0.50 bill. And if you see, I have used the 165 GB of storage. Okay, so for in the month of May, that has costed me $16 of billing. All right. Now I also use another services called as load balancing. You don't worry about what are the names. All you worry about is just look at the billing. Just look at the detail. In the North Virginia, I have used this for these many hours, and it has costed me nothing. And I have used this elastic load balancer. It costed me this, and I have used application load balancer for 170 hours, and it costed me $383. And I also used some DNS service, Elastic Container, Kubernetes, data transfer, S3 buckets, lot of services. As a part of the training, we are going to cover 15 to 20 services. And that's the reason it shows you everything in detail. Okay, now, once you're done and in the organization, you are not the one who is going to pay. Your accounts team is going to pay the bill to the AWS. Now, in your case, if you want to pay bill to Amazon, all you need to do is you need to go to the bills, payments, and all you need to do is you should come here and say, I would like to pay the payment. Now, in my case, I haven't paid June bill and July bill. I think I have to pay both of it. Now, all I need to do is I'll come here and I'll say I would like to pay the payment, which is going to clear the payment. So you can come here and complete the payment. Now it asks you enter your details. It's going to show me my personal details. I don't want to show. So you need to enter your credit card or debit card, and then you can pay the bill. Okay, that's how things are going to be organized. Now, I know how to see the bills. If you join any company, if you want to see how much they're spending, where they're spending, if you could want to share your thoughts, where you can save the billing, that is the first point to start with. Now, coming back to the old story of how do I come to know how much billing it's going to cost me? How do I come to know that? That piece of information, how do I come to know that? How do I come to know that? That's where the calculators of AWS helps you. Let's try to see that. Okay, so in the internet, AWS, Google Cloud, Azure Cloud, they have their own calculators. All you need to do is just go to internet, AWS pricing calculator. And again, even though your utilization is same, your billing would be different in North Virginia and your billing would be different in North Carolina. Or if you're in your same number of resources, if you burn them, if you run them on Mumbai, the billing will be different. As I said, law of the land and taxation of the country changes from region to region, and that is something that causes the difference. Okay, the difference of billing. Click on the AWS pricing calculator. And I would like to create an estimate. I got a requirement from someone telling that they want to create a server with these many CPUs and this much amount of RAM. Now you click it. Now, so whether you want to go by location type, yes, I would like to go by location type, and I would like to create the billing estimate keeping the North Virginia in mind. Someone has asked you to create a server in North Virginia, so you want to have it. Now, you can create an estimate for all the services that you got a request for. In my case, I got a request to create a server EC2. Now I would like to search for EC2. Okay, now click on this, configure. Now, you need to select either the number of CPUs and number of memory and the number of disks that you want to attach, or you can also go by instance type as well. Now I'm very much interested BATCH55 EC2 estimate. Okay, this is the name of the estimate. Now I would like to go what type of instances. There is something called a shared instance, dedicated instance, and dedicated host. Shared, I don't want to talk about. Okay, let me talk about this. So there is a concept called as dedicated host and dedicated instance. Okay, so there are certain sort of applications which runs on your on-prem. Okay, where for those softwares you have already paid the billing. Okay, you have already paid the licensing for that, and just for the sake of the migration, you don't want to create a server and lose the licensing there. Obviously, you lose a lot of money, right? Now, there are certain sort of softwares which will run on your bare metal server. Bare metal server is nothing but a physical servers. Okay, there are, okay, and they also come up with some clauses. This is not something can be run on the top of a virtual machine. In order to run this, I want to have a HP blade machine or HP server. Okay, if you are having certain sort of softwares which needs to be run on the top of a dedicated hardware, then you go with dedicated host or dedicated instance. There is a slight difference between dedicated host versus dedicated instance. Okay, so dedicated host. Okay, now there are, for example, there are certain projects where they don't want to run a, for example, there is no such thumb rule. Okay, so for example, if you are creating a server, for example, this is company X server instance, company X server, and if someone else comes and creates another server, for another server will be created, and that might also be created on the top of the same server. And for example, as per your business policies, if you are giving commitment to your customers that we are going to run servers on the top of the machines where other customer servers are not running, and we are very secure organization, we follow these data standards where we are giving this much security on your data. If they are giving such commitments, or if you are working for some financial organizations, they're very strict and we are very sure on how the data needs to be organized. Amazon is known for security, and they say that company X machine and company Y machine cannot see each other, and they are 100% isolated to each other. But if your company claim says that my machines, my company machines will be running on the top of one particular hardware, you can also go with that dedicated instance approach. Okay, but I want to talk more about bare metal. Bare metal is nothing but you get one server, you do whatever you want. Even you get access to the bare metal server directly, but you get better performance, but you are responsible for managing and patching, and most of the things comes under your bucket. But again, it's going to be very, very costly, very costly. Okay, it's not just like 100, 200, it's going to be in thousands. Okay, based on the type of dedicated host. And bare metal is nothing but a physical server. Okay, bare metal. This is a word, bare metal. Okay, this is a bare metal server. Okay, now coming back, now I'd like to create a server. Now it's a shared instance, okay, which means on the top of a single server, I am okay wherever it is created. All I care about is server, whether it is working or not. Now, which operating system you want? I want Linux, and whether you want you're going to use continuously, or do you have any spikes in the traffic, or do you having any weekly spike? All these details I'll ask you. I'll say number of instances you want. I want 4 instances. Now I'll come here and say I would like to go with, okay, instance type t3.2x large. Search the instance. Why it's not coming? Yeah, okay, bottom it's coming. Now I want 3t dot, okay, t3 dot large, which is going to give me 8 CPUs and 2 RAM, 2 CPUs, 8 gig of RAM and 2 CPUs. Okay, with a 5 gig Ethernet card. Okay, 5 gig Ethernet card. Now I'll click T3 large. I'm creating 5 instances, and there are some other plans, right? For example, if you are ready to pay all the money once, or if you're ready to pay half money once and rest of the money later, or you just want to go with monthly billing, there are some plans. Okay, now I want to go with on demand. On demand is a type whenever you're not sure that when you don't know when you are going to start the server and when you are going to terminate the server and how long you are going to use the server. And whenever you don't have any sort of roadmap, so you typically end up going with on-demand instance. On-demand instances are very, very costly. Okay, so typically you have 3 different types of instances with respect to billing. We have 3 types of instances. Okay, it's purely based on the billing. Okay, so first thing is on demand. I'm going to talk about again tomorrow on demand instance. Whenever you're not sure, whenever you have no roadmap on how long you're going to run the server or how many days you're planning to run the server or when you're going to terminate the server, if you don't have that information, you close up category under the category of on demand. Another thing is reserved. So whenever you're sure, hey, Amazon, I'm going to use a server for next 1 year or 3 years. If you are going to give a commitment to them, Amazon is going to give you 70 to 80% of the discount. Another category is spot, which I don't want to talk right now. But if you use this, you get a 95 to 98% of discount. Okay, this needs almost 1 hour of discussion because this is very important. You go to any interview, this is one of the must question. Now, I would like to create an on-demand instance because my customer don't know how long he's going to use and all. Okay, but in your organizations and projects, you use something called as reserve. Your product team talks to the Amazon TAM, technical account management team, telling that, okay, we are going to do business with you and we might consume 10,000 CPUs and 10,000 gigs of RAM in the next 3 years. How much discount you'll give me? So such type of category falls under the category of reserved. In this reserved, if you give a commitment that you are going to use this much amount of CPU and this much amount of RAM, and if you are not using it, still you need to pay the money. Okay, this point I would like to talk again one more time. For now, I would like to show you on-demand instance. Come here, and I would like to say on-demand. I would like to use 100% of it, and utilization is 100% month. Scroll down, and do you want to attach any disk? I want to attach 100 GB disk. $100 GB disk. Okay, now save and view the summary. Now, if you see this, if you're using T3.large, okay, and your monthly billing is $562 and the total cost for an year will be $6,755. So this is how, if someone asks you, I want to create a server, can you please help me creating a server? This is how you need to start showing the things and then getting back to them. Okay, how can I save billing? Okay, when I need to go with on demand and when I need to go with reserved and when I need to go with spot is something I would like to talk more tomorrow. And that's for today. And I'm good and I'm ready to take up the questions. I could see a few of the questions and please let me know if you have any questions. I'm good. And meeting link remains the same for the next 3 days. Meeting link remains the same. Okay, and we're gonna connect tomorrow, same time. Okay, we're gonna connect same time tomorrow. Okay, and that's it. I'm good. And if you have any questions, I'm ready to take up your questions. Let me stop it.
Hi, Manoj.
1 minute. Yeah, go ahead. Let me stop the recording in the interest of recording length. Yeah, please go ahead and post your questions.
Okay, Manoj, what is the difference between putty and kit?